Good morning, sports fans. Welcome to the Cheap Seats on 96.3 FM. We're at Jake's Furnishings, where you come in today, and you can make it your own. Today's a special day. I officially declare this day, if I can. This is Coach Al Day, January 6th. Big celebration tonight before the game. They're going to dedicate the floor to Coach Neil Alexander, which is with us this morning. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you?
Are you awake?
Barely.
You look really thrilled. We also have Coach Eric Ewald. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Tony Schilling, and the voice of the Railers, Jeff Benjamin. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Thanks for taking some time to stop by today and give us some stories on the man to my left here. I'm sure there's a lot of them, and just to remind everyone, we are on air live, so let's try to keep it clean. Coach, you've been doing this for a long time, over 40 years of coaching. Is that correct?
I believe so. I stopped counting.
Stop counting. Well, being in the profession that long, to have a dedication of a court, it's got to be a big honor. I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I know you're humble, and you're just gonna kind of blow it off, and it may not really make it sound like a big deal, but it is, I guess having that support in the community, it's got to feel pretty good.
Well, it does, and we've won a lot of basketball games over the course of 28 years, and we all know that if you don't win basketball games, things like this don't happen, and to win basketball games, you have to have a lot of people that are involved in what you do, and you have to have your players, you have to have your assistant coaches, the support of the families, the parents, and the dedication of the kids, which is, is unbelievable in Lincoln, Illinois. And, they spend the time at doing the things and everything to make themselves better and make them, to be able to compete at the level that we're competing at. For a school our size, for instance, next Saturday is a big game. We're playing Waukegan, and I think we're right around 800 students right now. And I think I looked at the enrollment of Waukegan, and I think they're 4,600.
Jeez.
And but there's only one thing about that: we get to put 5 guys on the court, and that's all they get.
They have a lot more to pick from, though.
But I guarantee you, they don't have the kids that are dedicated as what our kids are, and our kids may not be as talented, but like we've always done over the course of time, is 5 guys playing together is better than a bunch of individuals. So, it's that, and for 42 years that I've done this, and I mentioned the coaches and the support of the families, but I couldn't have done this without the support of my own family, and the real ringleader around this whole thing is my wife, Denise. She's been very supportive. I've missed a lot of things from my kids. My poor daughter was the one that really paid. I missed a lot of her things. I was fortunate enough to be able to coach both Greg and Jeff and my 2 grandsons, so I was with them, so I got to see most of their things once they got to high school. But the commitment that you have to make something worthwhile, it has to be for the good of the cause, and we've done that. But she's been there, for the 42 years that I've coached. We started dating way back when I was a sophomore in high school, got married right out of high school, and we've been married 45 years, and she has missed, I bet you, not more than more than 5 games.
Right. Yeah, it's
the games that she did miss was because she was traveling to see Jeff and Greg play at the collegiate level. So, but that would always be the first phone call I would get after each game, even if she wasn't there, was how'd we do and everything and so forth. So I love her to death, and she's allowed me to do what I really, really enjoy.
Right, and people don't realize that as much time as you do put in this program, you are away from a lot of things and you miss a lot of things. And, you know, just being this honor, I know your whole family's proud. I know Tammy, Denise, Greg, Jeff, and your grandkids couldn't be more proud. And the hard work and dedication, well, it does pay off, and, you know, at the end, you're rewarded. You said you've had a lot of wins, a lot of losses, a lot of ups and downs. And this guy to your left, he's been there for a majority of it, Coach Eric Ewald. Coach,
yes,
how long have you been coaching with Coach Al?
20 years.
20 years. So
yep.
You've been there for,
Quite a bit of it.
a pretty big chunk of it. Just tell us a little bit about Coach Al. I know we've heard it before, just the type of guy he is, but you get to see him on the court, behind the scenes, and obviously off the court. Just tell us a little bit about him.
In 20 years, you see a lot, and I guess he defines what leadership is. He's a strong leader. He's one that's easy to follow. He has certain guidelines that he sticks by, and he sets the tone for practices year in, year out. He's obviously built a program that is respected by all kinds of people in the state. What I've always said that separates, I think, Coach Al from other coaches is that he's able to get teams to do a lot of things well. When I first started coaching with Coach, I came in with the idea that good teams do a few things really well, they execute a few things, but after, the first week, I was like, holy cow, he can get his teams to do all kinds of different things well, defend, play against zones, play against mans, and run all kinds of different plays. I didn't know kids could remember that many plays, you know what I mean? And so I've always admired the fact that he can get his team to do a variety of things well.
Well, you say the program, he sticks to it. Obviously, being a coach, you have to have thick skin, and you do it your way.
Yeah.
People aren't going to agree what you do. You know,
Right.
You got parents that, well, I think my kid should be playing, or, I think, well, why'd you do that? So, having that program in place, that just kind of eliminates, not all the trouble, but it is what it is. And, you stick to your guns, and that's how you build a program.
He's created a program, and kids want to play in it.
Right.
And kids look forward to playing in it. And they know, many of them have gone to our camps. They've come to our practices. They know a lot of the coaching staff off the court. And they know what they're going to get. They know they're going to be playing for one of the top programs around, and I think they look forward to it.
And coming from Lincoln, it's no secret we don't always have the best athletes. We going up against teams with better athletes, but just not as well prepared or coached.
Yeah, if you play the right way, if you play with a certain amount of discipline, and if you have a sound attack, you can play against athletes. And he's been able to take teams that aren't superior athletes, but are certainly very skilled. And he identifies those skills, and he puts them in the right position where they're going to succeed. And not only is he able to get these teams to do a lot of things well, but he puts them in position where they're going to win against all kinds of different talent.
So 20 years, you got to have some stories that kind of stand out. Just tell us maybe a story that it's close to you and kind of sticks out from.
Yeah. In 20 years, it's hard to think of just one or two. We've been. A lot of the games kind of blend together, but I think of a lot of the, I think of the state title game. I think of the sectional championship games at Redbird. I think of some of the conference title games, some of the games where the gym was so loud I couldn't hear what he was saying on the bench, those kinds of things. And somewhere along the line in those 20 years of coaching, you go from just coaching together to being friends. And that's always been something that's the thing that I think that will stick with me, the thing I appreciate most. If I had to pick one memory, and I gotta say a couple, since Coach Greg just walked in. One of my favorite things, when Coach Greg was playing, he hit the winning shot against Rock Falls, and I thought, sitting on the bench, I thought that was so cool that that the son won a game for his dad. I thought that was cool, but he won many games for his dad. One of my favorite halftime speeches, that stands out.
Do we need a beat?
No, it was clean. It was clean. We were playing Peoria Central, and it was Greg's sophomore year, and they throttled us. I mean, they outplayed us. And in the first half, our point guard Preston Carnahan dove for a ball, and a guy dove on top of him, and his face went into the floor, and he broke his teeth, and he's bleeding and everything. And at halftime, he's sitting off in the corner, and blood's still on his face, and he's sitting there with a towel over his head, and Coach is giving a speech, and he points at Preston Carnahan, and he says to the team, "If you can't fight for that guy, I don't want you on this team." And I think that Preston kind of defined what he expected out of a railer, and I'll always remember that.
20 years, just real quick. How's his coaching demeanor from year 1 to year 20? He was a pretty intense guy back in the day.
Yeah, he was. He's a little more laid back, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. But
our system, believe it or not, has changed a little bit. We used to run a lot of sets. We still run a lot of sets, but he's quite a bit more freedom, I guess, within what we do. And so in that regard, he's a little bit different. But he's certainly a little bit more laid back. His desire to win is certainly still the same. But
All right, well, Coach, we're going to take a real quick timeout, but before we go, we got a message for you from a former player, so listen in.
Hey, Coach, it's Gavin. Just wanted to reach out and congratulate you on this big honor you're receiving tonight. I wish I could be there, but with that being said, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done, everything you've done for me personally, and helped me reach all my goals and dreams of playing at the highest level I possibly can. And, just helping me get better each day, pushing me to limits that I never thought I could reach myself. So I hope all is well. Hope tonight goes really well for you and your family, and it's a special moment for you guys, and you guys can cherish that. So looking forward to talking to you soon. Thanks, Coach.
All right, Gavin Block. Nice little message there from Ohio University. All right, we take a commercial break, but stay tuned. You're in the Cheap Seats, 96.3 FM. Welcome back to the Cheap Seats, 96.3 FM. You can follow us online at WLCNonline.com or on Twitter at WLCN Sports, and we're on Facebook. We're at Jake's Furnishings. It's Coach Al Day. And next up with us is Tony Schilling. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
And you played for Coach Al back in the day.
Back in the day.
What years was that?
90 through 94, so one of the original players.
One of the originals from day one.
From day one.
And you've been following, the Railer program for years. How has it changed any as just spectating, or is it's still?
He has calmed down a lot. But I think the most important message that I can bring, and I reached out to some former players before coming in just to get their input, but it's what his former players do after Railer basketball that I think is the most important thing. Majority go to college, majority graduate, and not only start and begin families, but you see his former players give back to not just to the game of basketball, but to their local communities. They're coaching the YMCA soccer games and the biddy balls, and if you look at just around here, the junior high coaches, and that's what's special is I think they learn from a great man from a great program, and they've instilled it so much they want to give it back because it's helped them personally. So today my biggest message is it's the success of his players in life beyond regular basketball that's important.
And you hit that on the head right there. Preparing them for life. It's not just wins and losses.
Mm-hmm.
It's how to go about yourself in the public,
right,
and how they're going to perceive you as far as your personality. Do you have any moments that stand out? Any butt chewings or anything like that?
I was also fortunate to be a part of John Welch too. And so very memorable halftime speeches that we can't talk about here right now. But no, just I travel a lot for my work, and everywhere I go it's regular basketball. They know Neil, they know the success, and I'm privileged to say I was a part of that. So it's just not Lincoln, and not even the state, but people know Lincoln basketball, and that's very special.
Well, and then you got a son, what grade's he in now?
Sixth. In fact, last week, Coach and I were just talking about, I said, has it happened yet? He goes, what? He said, have you had a former Lincoln player? Have you coached his son yet? Having that next generation, that's coming close, I think.
That's it, huh? You got 3 or 4 more years in you?
It's coming.
I think the first one, and he's in the program now, would be Seth Tungate.
Yeah, you're right.
With Chad.
Wow, man. Yeah, you're getting old too, Greg.
I am up there.
That says something in itself.
Now we're shooting for great grandchild coaching. That's on our agenda.
Exactly.
So. But Tony, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for letting me come here. Appreciate it.
It means a lot. We try to get a lot of former Railers in there, but unfortunately, a lot of them are
coaching.
They're coaching.
They're actually coaching right now. That's exactly right. Yep.
All right. Well, next to me is the coach of the Railers, Jeff Benjamin.
That'd be Neil. He's the coach.
Or the voice. Well,
although
you're coaching up there.
I coach a lot.
I'm sorry, the voice of the Railers, and you can hear Jeff on 96.3 FM. Him and Josh bring all the action. How long you been on air?
This is 17 years.
17. So Neil was already well into it when you took over. 17 years of broadcasting, you've seen a lot, and you're a numbers guy, and you've got a sheet of paper there. So
yeah,
I'm sure there's things that
no one else would care about.
Coach Al doesn't know, but and those are always interesting numbers when just I don't know how do you do it? How do you keep track of all that?
I grew up in a small town with nothing to do, so that's where I learned, but it's just sometimes numbers just stick, and my wife says I want to be a sports information director somewhere. Well, but this is fun. I enjoy doing it. It's a privilege after all the games to talk to Coach, and it's interesting because during the games, I'll kind of start making notes, ask Coach about that, was this a key point of the game? And then as the game moves along, if things start turning south, I'll kind of scratch those out and think, well, I'm not going to ask him that. I'm not going to ask that question. I always wonder, with Josh, he's, played for Coach. He's coached with Neil. So, that's one of the good things about having Josh is he's got that insight into it. And I'm always curious, and I'll always turn to Josh at halftime when there are those games where, an end of half set doesn't work anywhere near the way it's supposed to. And Coach is the first one to the locker room before the players. I was like, so we'll come back and say, I can't imagine that halftime speech is going to be very arable, because he said, yeah, you don't want Coach to be the first one back there because he's just waiting for you. And but if my numbers are correct, and I use some of the information also off
we wouldn't know if they're not. So
the Railer basketball site, Coach has had 175 players that have played through the varsity roster in his years here at Lincoln, which has been up through the games down at Collinsville, 791 wins overall, 632 of those at Lincoln, And if you take the next 3 in total of wins at Lincoln, which would be Lauren Wallace, Roy Johnson, and Roy S. Anderson, those 3 combined have 662. So Coach is just 30 behind them all by himself.
Wow.
He's been responsible for 36% of all the wins in Lincoln basketball history. And so if Mother Nature doesn't get involved, when they play Washington in the newly formed Central Illinois Classic, which will be 2 weeks from today, he will coach his 850th game just at Lincoln alone.
Wow. Well,
It's a lot.
that's something to chew on right there. That's pretty impressive.
But
And you're right. You are a numbers geek. I mean, that.
and I always look for the oddity, and unless somebody wasn't listed on the roster that may have been brought up or something like that, of all the players that Coach has had on the varsity roster, and like I said, unless there's someone who wasn't added on for the website, you would think that somewhere along the line, and don't ask me how I know this, just because that's how I spend my time. Coach has never coached anybody on the varsity roster here at Lincoln whose last name started with a J. I mean, you would think with a Jones or a Johnson or, just a popular names like that.
Yeah.
There's no one that's ever been there.
Wow.
So,
We're going to have to find you a hobby.
this is my hobby.
Oh.
This is my hobby. This is what I enjoy. But, but I think what I get the most out of the conversations with Coach after the game is, win or lose, there may be some frustrations with how the game has gone, win or lose, but it's the respect, and I know Eric talked about it, Tony talked about it. It's the respect that he gives the opponents coach, the game itself, his team, and there'll be times when you know that Lincoln's playing a team that is outmatched. And yet, Coach will talk about how, they're a good team. And I think he knows, just like what he's doing with the Railers, that coach is working hard to get those players as good as they can be. And, you don't want to hear someone come on and say, well, we knew we were going to win when the game started. We knew this is how it was going to turn out. Or to disparage the other teams like, well, they really didn't have a chance, because that's just not Coach Al. And I think that's how he carries himself. I've never been in the locker room, never heard one of the halftime speeches. You hear stories, but, Coach is wanting to win. But I think at the end of the year, he always talks about how fast the 4 years goes for everybody. And he tells them as soon as that, make the most of it, because these 4 years are going to go by faster than you can imagine. And then when we get toward the end of the season, he starts talking about, I tell him there's only a few games left. It's coming up quick. And then when he talks about the seniors at the end of the year, he always says, they're good players, but at the end of the day, I hope going through this program, they're better people than they were players. And he's had some really good players. And yet, like Tony said, you see what they do when they go on past Lincoln basketball, and that what they've learned from Coach, their basketball days may be behind them, but their being a good person are going on. And I think that's a lot to do with what he's taught them as part of the Rayla program.
Well, Jeff, any other numbers you want to throw out there before we go to break?
Alabama's going to win their 17th national championship on Monday. Does that one count?
Well, I mean, I guess. Money buys good stuff.
Well, don't you know that the S in SEC is a dollar sign?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah. What, they're playing Clemson again? Is that a rematch?
That's Georgia.
Georgia,
yep.
Okay.
They already took care of.
They took care of Clemson.
Well, and of course, the numbers thing you talk about. With 9 more wins, Coach gets to 800 for his career.
Okay,
I mean,
so
that's
he's sitting at
792
right now.
791
and where's
right
that?
now.
Where's that rank him in the state?
I think it is second active and in the top 10 overall in the state.
Second active. I mean, what's the?
I'm not sure. I saw an
guy's gotta
article
be
yesterday.
110 years old.
I saw an
Guy
article the
first.
other day. They were talking about that. So
Who?
Gene Pingator at Westchester. He's got over 1,000.
Yep.
Jeez. Got
he's
some work to
still
do,
going.
Coach.
Yeah, well, he's about 85. I'm
He was
not going to make that.
Well, you know, the guy sitting to my left is ready for you to retire, so maybe he can start building his legacy. No? Okay. Well, we're going to go to another commercial break, but before we go, we got another message for Coach Al.
I wanted to call and say congratulations to Grandpa, Coach Al, whatever you guys want to call him. It's pretty cool to see that the board did something this special for him after all the work that he's put in and just all the years of success and just the time and what he's done for the school and the program. As a former player, as a family member, you kind of see things that a lot of people don't get to see. He's in the early morning, he's staying.
Yeah. Well, all right. That didn't work. Yeah, I guess you ran out of time there on the voice memo. All right, we'll take another commercial break. Come back. We'll have some coaches in with us and another former player or two. So stay tuned. You're in the Cheap Seats on 96.3 FM. Welcome back to the Cheap Seats on 96.3 FM. We're at Jake's Furnishings for Coach Al Day. On with us right now, we've got Coach J. Mack. We'll get to him in a little bit because otherwise we won't get a word in.
that's true.
Coach Greg's in with us, Corey Farmer and Louis Schonauer. But on the line with us right now is a former player, Kurt Courtright. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking some time. We got Coach Al on with us this morning. It's Coach Al Day here in Lincoln. Tell us a little bit about your when you played, and if you got a story or a memory you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I played. I graduated high school in 2006. So it was. It was great playing for him. It taught me a ton. I think it's kind of ironic that I'm at a coaches convention right now. So that talks about how big of an impact he had on me. I mean, I'm kind of following his footsteps and doing the coaching. So I think for me is a little different because I played for him and then I coached alongside him. So it was awesome to have him kind of mentor me because when I was the head coach at the high school, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I was in his office all the time asking him, questions and what I should do. And he helped me tremendously.
So you're coaching in the college ranks right now, is that correct?
Yes.
Yep. And any memories that kind of stick out? Maybe a halftime speech or something that you want to share? A clean one.
Right. No, I think the thing I love Rayla Pride every day. Rayla Pride taught us a lot. I mean, more about just life and how to play than really anything defensively. I mean, it got intense. There's a lot of headlocks, a lot of fights going on between players, and it's just intense every second. And I think that's something that he instilled in us. And why, honestly, because my team, my junior year, went to state, and that was a big reason. We weren't the most talented team, but, man, we were tough. And I think that's the biggest thing I'll take away from Coach Al is just the intensity that he instilled on us every single day.
Well, Kurt, thanks for taking some time. I know you're busy. I'm sure Coach Al appreciates. I think he's still awake over there.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. Congratulations. I wish I could be there tonight, but like I said, I'm in Indianapolis right now. But well deserved, man, and thanks for everything.
Well, thank you.
All right, Kurt, thanks for calling in, and we'll see you down the road.
All righty. Thanks, guys. See you.
Kurt Courtright, he was a solid basketball player. He was a 3-sport athlete, and that's tough to do these days. And players these days, they kind of tend to pick a sport and stick with it. And to play 3 sports, there's no rest there. So
no, yeah, it's constantly on the go and working at different different skills and things. But it does help you become a well-rounded athlete.
All right, well, who wants to go next? Let's get with Greg here. He's been sitting there for a while, just chomping at the bit to talk. Greg, you've obviously been around basketball programs that your dad has coached from Bushnell, all the way up to Lincoln. You've seen the ins and outs. You've played for him. Now you're coaching with him. Just tell us a little bit about your experience. I guess your life experience as far as being the son of a high school basketball coach.
It's all you know. I mean, kind of born with it, living in a gym, wanting to go to the gym all the time. He could take us out there and just let us run, and he didn't have to deal with us really, but probably nice for our mom to get out of the house. But no, just, obviously then playing for him, now coaching with him, just learning all. You've heard all these life lessons and everything that he's talked about, and it is true. He teaches the game of basketball, but he wants to instill more life lessons and life down the road. And one thing he tells all of our guys, and when he goes and talks somewhere, or little kids camps and stuff like that, is good things happen to good people, and he lives by that. And that's what we and he preaches to our teams all the time. There's as much as he cares about the game of basketball, it's outside too, within how you conduct yourself in the school and the community. When we go on the road, we constantly he gets compliments about how well behaved our teams are, how respectful they are, because he's trying to teach them to be that way and conduct himself in that way, which helps you down the line in life.
And that's something that you heard it a lot in Collinsville over the years, how well the kids are behaved. You got people from all over the state down at this tournament, and they go, to one of the games they want to see is Lincoln. And it's year in, year out, and, getting that compliment, how well your kids behave and how they go about themselves, that's got to be, if not more than wins and losses, that's got to mean a lot as well. And that rolls over from how you play in practice and in games and everything. And another thing is, he teaches the guys to play hard every day in practice. There's no really walkthroughs that we do. Usually everything's full go, full intensity. And he teaches them how you play Monday through Thursdays, how you're going to play Friday and Saturday. And hopefully, and he wants his teams to reflect that intensity and hard work. Now, being around the family myself, now correct me if I'm wrong, but Neil leaves it on the court. Some people think, well, since you played for him, it doesn't carry over to home.
Yeah.
It stays on the court. I've noticed it with, Austin and Bryson, Yeah, he's hard on them, but at the end of the day, when we're sitting around the table at home, it's not the...
No, he leaves it there. And there's always going to be basketball talk at our house. It's always on TV, and I probably would want to, when I played, I probably got away from him. I'd go in my own little sectors at home, and I don't think my brother did.
No.
I think those two went tooth and nail at each other.
Well, yeah, that's
they were two different people to coach. We tried to leave it at the gym, and Jeff was an agitator. And Mom would get right in the middle of it. We'd be sitting at the table, and we'd be eating, and he would look up. He said, "Dad, you look pretty stupid today," and boom, off we'd go, and Mom would get mad. This one here didn't say a whole lot. He just kept it shut. But Jeff would just stir the pot every day. He would stir it and keep it going.
I got to attend a lot of I would leave schools and go to a lot of practices and run around and watch him. And I think it's been mentioned through Tony and some of the other guys, and Coach E. Wouldn't say he's mellowed, but the voice in his practices and intensity, he still has the intensity, maybe not the screaming Bobby Knight type anymore. But back then, I think when those guys played, and Jeff, it was a lot louder. He doesn't do that as much anymore, really at all. And, even through me, I would say he yelled, but not as much as them. And maybe Corey Farmer and Louis Schoen are sitting here, maybe a little less from there. But I will say there was one time as we were in practice at the back gym, and probably wasn't a good practice. heat's probably up really high, and he said something to me. It's probably towards the end of practice or something. I mumbled something under my breath. I'm running, and all of a sudden he's running behind me. And he's about got me on the wall because he think I'm yelling at him, which I probably was. And not too many times after that did that happen.
Well, I know back in the Bushnell days, and there was garbage cans on each baseline. And, you know, if you couldn't get it through your head, you got it through your feet. And a lot of people had to use those garbage cans.
There's still 4 in the corners of our gym, too. They're just hidden a little bit, but they're there.
Yeah, so he's, over the year, he's just, you know, he's mellowed down. And, you know, age to do that.
I think it's called maturity.
Maturity. All right. We got another phone call. I do believe this is Eric Grau on the line with us now. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Eric. How you doing this morning?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's Coach Al Day, and you're going to call in and give us a story or a memory or.
Well, I just wanted to congratulate him on a well-deserved honor. In fact, it's been so long since I played for him. I was on his first 2 teams, and Greg was at those practices. He was in 3rd grade, and he'd be dribbling, playing the manager one-on-one during practice, full court, of course, one-on-one, and beating the high school manager at that time. But, you know, it's just I'm getting ready here to coach the game at Lincoln College for the junior high. I heard Tony and some of the other guys and what they're saying, and just wanted to reiterate that, of course. It was an honor to be able to play for him, and in terms of what we learned, I think, you know, just preparation, attention to detail, and focus and intensity. And like you said, those are things that carry on in life, not just in basketball, but obviously pretty important in basketball. So, but I'll tell you one story that you guys probably haven't heard this morning, I'm guessing. You know, when Coach Al first came to Lincoln, he helped with baseball too. And we played in Busch Stadium those 2 years, my junior and senior year. And I remember the coaches, Coach Andrews and Coach Moore, who both played professional. I think they both got to AAA maybe. And they decided they're going to have a home run derby before the game and throw balls up at home plate and see who could hit them out. And so Coach Moore and Coach Andrews are up there with their those long, thin fungo bats, kind of sneaking them over the wall. Coach Al walks up with a 32-inch Easton that he pulled off the rack and hit one 2/3 the way up off the foul pole. Hit it off the foul. Not what you'd expect from the basketball coach.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Well, thanks, Eric, for calling in. Hope to see you out there tonight, and good luck in your game today.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, thanks.
All right, now with further ado, with J-Mac, you get to talk. So
plug him in.
Just ask.
Just ask.
I'm an open book.
You've been coaching with Coach Al for
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And you played basketball over in what, Mason City? Or?
No, here in Lincoln.
Oh, you played
Thanks for noticing.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I played at a private school here in town, so we didn't get a lot of press.
No?
No. Should have. That was awesome. I mean, awesome.
That's what you keep telling us.
First time I ever dunked the ball in a game, you thought we won the World Series. Plays went crazy. Christian's running everywhere.
But you went on to play some college basketball as well.
Yeah, Lincoln College, McMurray.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
So coaching with Coach Al for 10 years, you and your little sidekick right here, Louie, you guys take care of the freshmen.
Yep.
And get them prepared for the next level. I mean, as far as, you guys are the
best coaches. You can say it.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised your name's not beside us tonight on the floor.
Mine's going to be on the wall. It's, 10 years ago we came here, and I was under Coach Shaner. And, from the minute you come in here, you have to be committed. I mean, you can't be lukewarm in this program. It's not possible. You can't play here lukewarm. You can't coach here lukewarm. You can't manage lukewarm here. I mean, he's all over them. And it's kind of that point every day. So I was stressed when I got the job as head 9 years ago. They said, you may not teach them much anything what you know now, but you have to teach them how to get ready to practice every single day. That's your main goal, and that's been my main goal for 9 straight years as head. And, you know, under Jared Shaner, now you get better because you talk to Ewald and, you know, you listen to what he says and you regurgitate it. And I listen to Coach Craig and, you know, you take in everything you can, whether it's plays, whatever it is. And what he says, I don't know how many times he and I have sat for 10 years and I just listen. And you know, even if the best you can do is regurgitate it, you know, it sets in with the kids because it's, you know, it really is truth. You have to be committed. You have to be honest. You got to be fair. You have to represent yourself. And that's kind of what it is. But if you learn to practice hard every single day, you've done your job. And then we get them ready for the JV level because they understand that they cannot get away with coming here lukewarm. You know, you can't come to practice not ready to practice. And that's really the freshman job. And I've been really lucky. John Harmson was a fantastic assistant coach, and I have Louis. Louis is fantastic. So he'll be a good head coach next year when he takes over.
That's all you.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I thought I was going to be special assistant to the head coach. That's kind of what I was looking for there.
Louis, you've been coaching for what?
This is my 5th year.
5th year,
Yep.
And coaching with J Mac, and you played under Coach Al
for 4 years.
Had a lot of successful years.
One really bad year, but
one bad year.
Yeah, we had one bad year.
Wow.
I think we have his worst record. It was my junior year, so I was lucky enough to play on, I think, his worst team that he's possibly ever coached to one of the better.
Yeah, the best
in back-to-back years.
Any moments stand out?
A couple. One is, again, from my sophomore year. I was very lucky enough to play on a state tournament team with Brandon Farmer and Matt Schick and them. And then, like I said, coming in my junior year, you know, with a lot of guys came in with no varsity experience whatsoever. You know, I never played. We had an injury. Nelson came in as a freshman. Brackney was a sophomore, us guys. And like I said, we finished out 13-17. And then to come back my senior year and finish out 29-5 and basically a couple minutes away from making a super sectional. So.
All right, let's move on down here real quick to another farmer, Corey Farmer. Corey, what year did you play at?
I graduated in 03. So 03? When we left, we held the school record in wins, and of course, my brother's team had to go and beat that. So.
Darn him.
Yeah.
Any memories stand out? Some of the maybe mention some of the guys you played with.
Yeah, I tell you what sticks out to me is Coach is always saying about, you know, it takes the players, you know, to have this program. I mean, we can probably count on both hands how many Division I players he's had. You know, in my opinion, it's a lot about his system. You know, I mean, former players, you know, Adam Schoenauer, I'm good friends with. He coaches down at PBL. You know, he took his system and is putting his success down there. You know, I coach out at West Lincoln girls, and we run the same exact system, you know, pretty much same system. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it works. You know, it always seems to work. You know, in my opinion, it's a lot to do with him. You know, when it comes to a memory that sticks out to me, just his hard work and dedication. You know, when I was in school, you know, we come down to, you know, study hall or go down to the locker room. You walk by the coach's office, and there it was, a little TV right in the corner of his office. And he's always got a game on. You know, he's always scouting the games. You know, and it's just continuous. He might not even be sitting in the seat. You know, he might not even be there, but it's just continuously playing. He always catches a glimpse, and he always has his players. He puts his players in positions to succeed. You know, every player, they don't play to their weaknesses; they play to their strengths. You know, that's my opinion. That's what he does a great job of.
So you have a little better respect on the coaching philosophy just because now you are coaching. You see the other side of it as far as playing and coaching.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing, you don't see that. You know, you're there and you don't realize the time and dedication. And I mean, the guy should have a statue outside, in my opinion. I mean, as much time as he puts in.
There we go.
I mean, as much time when we would play pickup games, you know, me, Greg, Louis, all these guys go play pickup games at the high school, you know, on a Sunday. Who's the guy you always see walking in? You know, there he is. He's always there.
Always.
You know, and the time he puts away from his family, you know, just the hard work he puts in. I mean, it's a tribute to him.
Well, he's probably there more since 1996 when I moved to town than before.
Yeah. So you always know when he's at the house because I'm at the gym.
So that's true. Well, Corey, thanks for taking some time. Hopefully you're going to be out there tonight.
Yep, I'm gonna try. We got a couple games today, but I'm gonna try and be there tonight.
All right. Let's we got some other players here that get them on real quick as time winds down. Louis, you want to give up your headphones to Comnick there?
Yep.
Thanks for coming in.
No, thank you.
We'll see you. Well, Coach, you probably weren't expecting to be here for a full hour.
I had work to do this.
No, you don't.
So we do appreciate you coming in, and as we get Nathaniel Smith and Mr. Comnick on with us, the other voice of the Railers, Josh Comnick.
Morning, fellas.
Thanks for taking some time. Nathaniel Smith.
Yeah, good morning.
You guys looking good?
Thank you.
What do you got going on today?
County tournament today for the 7th grade, yeah. So we've got Hardham and Carroll going at 10 o'clock, and then we're taking on the Bruins over from Mount Pulaski, and then West Lincoln will play the winner of the first game at, would that be 12 o'clock, Tony, I think? 12:30? So that's all over at Lincoln College. Nice venue for the young guys. They enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, Josh, you've played under this man and you've coached alongside of him, and now you're broadcasting games. Tell us a little bit about your Railer experience.
Well, you just look back and there's a lot of things that you remember. Obviously, we were fortunate enough to be really good. That helped your experience, and it really is a job. A lot of parents are after their kids to you got to get the summer job, you got to do this, you got to do that, but Coach Alexander is your job. He's your boss during the summers, because all in all, that's how we won. We were, and you talk about it, and the guys have talked about it already, they're more prepared. Our players are more prepared, and I think if I've taken anything from Coach Al over the years of either playing or coaching for him or now just being around a little more, is he always said he'd never wanted his teams to be unprepared. And you talk about scouting. I remember when I was coaching, I made a trip all the way to Quincy to get a tape from Lauren Wallace. I literally talked to Lauren Wallace for 30 seconds, grabbed the tape, and my 2-hour ride back to Lincoln was that it. And now it's a little bit different now that you can use tapes and you don't have to do as much scouting. But these guys are on the road. He's on the road. He's been to Chicago. He's watching Waukegan. He knows that team's 0-21. But he still thinks there's a chance that they can beat us. And we're going to, and I had tell him there's no chance unless we play with 2 players that this team is going to beat us. But his butt would be in the stands on that visitors game. And these guys are shaking their heads now, and it's the truth. And he'd never wanted his teams to be unprepared, because then he thought he'd failed his team.
Well, that's, you got to be prepared. You don't want to take somebody for granted.
Right, and there are cases where teams do beat you just out of nowhere, and that's rarely happened for him. You've seen him win a lot of games with some teams that had no business winning that many games, but the time that they put in is 40 games in the summer or whatever it is, and the off season, and now you see the weight room is even more, and I think Coach Greg has taken a lot of that over, and that's a huge role, a lot bigger of a role than it was when I played. You went in there, but I don't know that you got a whole lot done. Coach thought we got a whole lot done, but I'm not sure we did. But and it's just part of it, and that's the way sports is anymore, is for high school and farther, obviously, is 12 months out of the year, and you've got a guy that's been dedicated to it to his whole life, and most of it to here in Lincoln.
Yes, sirree. Smitty, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You played for Coach Al back in, well, you're still a young pup.
Way a long time ago. Graduated in 2011.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Any moments stand out? I know you've had some successful years there as well. You're probably going to reiterate a lot of things we've already heard today, but tell us something different about Coach Al that nobody really knows.
Oh boy. Well,
it's probably pretty hard because he's just the same old thing. It
doesn't change much. It doesn't change much. If anything, he's gotten a little softer, I've heard, over the years. But no, I think I've never had the conversation with Coach Al about what he's taught me over my years there. You know, he taught me discipline. You know, I'm fortunate to come from a good family where discipline was instilled, but this was discipline to a new level. You know, you hit every line, you do your job on a daily basis, not necessarily just in basketball, but in the classroom, and then in your social life with your family and your friends. Like, he kind of just taught me how to be a man, you know, and I give a lot of credit to him for that. He taught me how to be a leader. He taught me how to be unselfish and how to be humbled, and how to expect more things from myself before I could expect other things from other people. You know, I'm truly grateful for the 4 years that I spent in his program, and you know, I've known him a lot longer than that. My dad took me to games since I was a kid. And, you know, I remember watching Greg play, and I was on the sidelines being his ball boy. You know, I've been around Lincoln High School basketball for a long time, and I've known Coach Al for a long time, and I don't think I could ever repay him for everything that he's taught me, and everything that I've learned from him. I think I speak for a lot of guys that have come through this program when I say all those things. You know, one special memory though, we were down in Collinsville. I think it was either my sophomore or junior year. An official collapsed on the floor. It was a very unfortunate circumstance. We were playing Belleville-Altoff in the championship game. And we were all kind of rattled. We had never really seen anything like that before. And we went into the locker room, and nobody really kind of knew like what to do. And Coach Al, you know, kind of grabbed us all and huddled us all together. And it wasn't necessarily just about basketball that day. It was about life. You know, it was about moments like this where you should really appreciate the loved ones in your life. And you know, it was kind of like basketball got put on hold for a second, so that he could teach another life lesson. You know, and I don't think I would be the person I am today if I didn't come through Lincoln High School and have Coach Al as my coach. And so just extremely grateful for him.
Okay, on the line right now, we have another special caller right now to wish Coach Al congratulations. Go ahead, who are we talking with? Oh, hold on.
This is technology at our best. Hey, can't Lloyd get us something better than to learn with here?
You gotta do what you got. Okay, you there? Well, why ain't this working?
I don't call the rail. Because you're
Speakerphone.
Michael Jordan's going to have to call back.
All right, hold on. Let's try this again. All right, I think it's going to work now. Who are we talking to?
Bryson Kirby.
All right. You got something to say?
Yep, I would just like to congratulate Coach Al on the court being named after him. There's no doubt that he deserves it. The amount of work he puts in and devotes to the program, it's ridiculous. So I'd like to just say congratulations to Coach Al, a.k.a. my grandpa. So
thank you, buddy.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's a guy, a few words. All right.
You forgot to say you love him.
Click.
All right. Good luck today. And we'll see you tonight.
He learned that from his dad.
Yeah. Tough love. Well, I don't know if we can get a bill passed or how we go about getting this January 6th a state holiday, Coach Al Day, but I'm going to declare it today. Coach, once again, a big honor tonight. You know, after the JV game, we'll have a little celebration announcement or whatever you want to call it. You want to say any last words? Or?
Yeah, you know, it's first of all, it's a great honor that, you know, I did not expect. I was surprised at the board meeting. You know, I was sitting there just kind of, you know how you are at meetings where you want them over so you go home. And
not listening to Joe.
I am not listening to nothing. I'm in my own world, and I'm sitting there coloring in the letters, and all of a sudden I hear my name, and I go, maybe they fired me. No, it was a surprise. And it's quite an honor, and believe me, I've been very privileged to be here to coach the people that I've been involved with. I I can't say enough about my coaching staff, Coach E, Coach Greg, all these guys, Coach J Mac, Brandon.
Where is Brandon?
I'm sure he's working.
He's
His
working.
brother's not.
Yeah, I'm sure he's working.
Probably sleeping.
Coach Louie, and one thing I've learned over the years is to kind of delegate a little bit, and Coach E does a great job with a lot of the things that we do. Coach Greg follows up. The two freshman coaches, Coach Louie and Coach J Mac, like they said, they teach them how to play hard, and that's one thing that we do want to get across, is how hard you have to play to be successful, and it's not going to hurt you to play hard. That's basically how I think that we survive and play in the competition that we play, is that we play hard and play together. And then you got Coach Greg and Coach Brandon that works with the sophomores, and the coaching staff, I take the blame. I make the final decisions, but I do have a staff that, we talk about a lot of things, and I think that's very, very important. And I love those guys to death. They've done a lot for me. In fact, they make me look pretty good. One of the things that I've always said is you surround yourself by good people. I think it's been mentioned before. I think Coach Greg mentioned it, that the bottom dollar is, when I get a kid, I want him to be a good person. And I truly believe that being a good person will carry you a long way in life. Being respectful. I mentioned about who we were playing, and we went and saw Charleston. Before we went and saw them, we thought we could, that it would be an easy game. Well, we traveled 2.5 hours down to watch them at Newton one night, but you just feel better about the preparation. And if you want your kids to respect somebody, you have to. I thought that was a respect thing, and I feel that we can lose to anybody, but we can also beat anybody. So I think that's a preparation, and that's a tribute to our coaching staff, our kids, our community. And it is a community program. It's not my program. It's not the kids' program. It's our program. And I've been very fortunate to be at what I consider the best program in the state of Illinois, bar none. Quincy, they don't have anything to hold against us. Those type of programs, to me, we're the best program in the state of Illinois, and it all centers around the people you deal with and the community and the support that you have from your administration. I've been very fortunate having great administrative support over the course of time that, I've never, in 28 years, I've never had a meeting with the administration about our basketball program on how to do things or anything, and that's unheard of. But I also inform them, too, of what we're doing and discuss things with them. But as far as them calling a meeting for me to come in and discuss our basketball program, I have not had that. And the support and the belief that they have in me and my coaching staff, and I think is beyond what I can express. And then the bottom thing is my family. I can't say enough about them. I have a great family. Denise has raised them very well. And that's what happens is, when you're gone a lot, you have to have somebody at home to take care of things, and she's done that. And again, she's allowed me to do what I've enjoyed over the course of time, and I love her for that. So other than that, I can't say much more than that. I guess I'm pretty speechless.
Well, guys, you guys can attest to this. You've been around him on and off the court, and a lot of people only see one side of Coach Alexander, and that's on the court. He's pretty intense, but off the court, there's no kinder person in the world, generous.
He'd give you the shirt off his back.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And people don't see that side of him. And there's nobody in this world that is more deserving than this honor tonight. So
absolutely,
to that, we congratulate you and can't wait to see that court tonight.
Looks good.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. We're at Jake's Furnishings. Stop by and see him today, where you can make it your own. He's rearranging some furniture right now, making room for some new stuff. So stop by today and get your recliner, couch, or whatever. Next week we'll be somewhere. All right. But we don't know where. Same time, just different place. Where we're going to be?
Railer game tonight.
Yeah, Railer game tonight. Early start for JV.
Yep.
5 o'clock tip-off. You can listen to the varsity game on 96.3 FM or tune in, WLCNonline.com, or download the Mixler app. It's a great app. You can listen to all the broadcasts. So on behalf of myself and everybody that showed up today, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.